Welcome back to our video lessons in microeconomics. Previously, we dealt with perfect competition. For today, I will be discussing monopoly. So, monopoly comes from two Greek words, monos and polein. Monos means single, and polein means sell. So, basically, monopoly would mean single selling. So that's where this term came from. So monopoly is a market structure in which one firm makes up the entire market. It is also a market structure in which the firm faces no competitive pressure because it's the only seller in that market. And also, in this type of market structure, there are barriers to entry, making it difficult for other firms to enter the market. So, this is the complete opposite of the perfect competition because, first, in perfect competition, there are many buyers and sellers, whereas in monopoly, there's only one seller. And second is, of course, because of the many sellers, there is competition in a perfect competition, while in monopoly, there's no competition. And the third one, in perfect competition, there are no barriers to entry, so anyone can join the market. But in monopoly, there are many restrictions or regulations or difficulties that's why some firms they would be discouraged or not interested in entering the market. So why do monopolies arise? So first is because there's only a sole seller of the product. Then the firm's product does not have any close substitutes, unlike the in the perfect competition wherein the products are homogeneous and a buyer has other options if it cannot buy from the first seller. But here in monopoly, if you're the only one supplying that good, the buyers don't have any option, especially if there are no other substitutes for the product you're offering. There are barriers to entry here, as mentioned earlier, and there are some sources of monopoly. So first is the monopoly resources, wherein there's only one firm that owns a key resource. Second, there could be government regulations. This prevents other firms or individuals to enter the market. And the third one is because of the production process, wherein producing the product might be inefficient if small firms would decide to produce that good compared to a single firm with all the capabilities, all the capital investments, and all the needed resources. So it would be unattractive for small firms to start up that kind of business because of the production process. So let's go to each of these sources of monopoly. First is we have the monopoly resources, wherein a single firm own the key resource. And in this case, for example, we have a well. So, atabay. So, if there are many wells, atabay sa lugar, so there are many sources of water. So, um, the owners of the wells cannot just sell their water at a high cost. No, sorry, high price. Sorry, high price because they know that there are also other individuals who own wells that can also sell water. So if one seller will raise the price, automatically the buyers would go to another um, owner of the well if that is the case. But in monopoly, if you're the only one who owns a well, so the buyers don't have any options. So they need to buy from you. So you can raise the price. You can raise the price at any amount, even if you only have a very low cost for your water. Second is if there are government regulations. So here we have the government created monopolies. So sometimes the regulations can create monopolies because the government can allow a or can give a right, an exclusive right to a certain firm or certain person to sell some good or service. So it restricts other individuals from entering the market. Okay, for example, you have your patent, copyrights, franchise. Okay, so it's a lot difficult to start up a business if there are many requirements needed. If you cannot just copy a certain product, you cannot just copy a service. And if a certain right is owned by the government and you need to request for that. So, for example, franchise to own a network. So, we already know what happened to a certain TV and radio station here in our country, wherein because the government, the Congress did not uh, give the franchise, did not allow them to renew their franchise, so they were not able to operate. So there are only few firms who can enter this kind of industry, which is broadcasting, diba? So if you don't have the franchise, of course you cannot operate. And that restricted that company from airing their shows in the television and in the radio. So that's one. So if the government will only grant a TV and radio franchise to a single company, so that single company can monopolize. So that's how government can create monopolies. Then you have the natural monopolies. So an industry is a natural monopoly when a single firm can supply a good or service to an entire market at a lower cost than could two or more firms. So this arises when there are economies of scale over the relevant range of output. So in this case, a single firm can produce any amount of output at the lowest cost. So producing the goods, which entails high cost, will be very unattractive to prospective investors. But if a single company has all the capabilities, all the resources, and it can produce at an economies of scale, at a relevant range of outputs, so it would be more beneficial for that single company. So example is a natural monopoly for the distribution of water. So to provide water to residents of a town, a firm must build a network of pipes throughout the town. If two or more firms were to compete in the provision of this service, so each firm would have to pay the fixed cost of building a network. So, tagsa-tagsa sila, makagasto. And we know that uh, dili, dili basta-basta ang investment, di ba? For this type of business. So, dili kaayo siya efficient para sa company, di ba? So, that's why the average total cost of water here would be lowest if only a single firm will serve the market. Kay kung siya ra ang mag-produce or mag-distribute og water, so ang iyahang fixed cost nga nagasto um mas mahimong smaller or lesser ang fixed cost per unit kay mas spread out man siya over the number of units nga kayang i-produce. So ang fixed cost niya inig-divide nimo sa units or pila ba na ka cubic meters of water. Sakto ba cubic liters of water, cubic liters of water ang ma-produce. Kung daghan siya og ma-produce nga water, and then, ang fixed cost kay the same, mas mahimong efficient ang iyahang production. Pero kung daghang firms ang mag-ilog sa market niya, tagsa-tagsa sila mag-set up o kaugalingon nilang mga kumpanya. Each of them will have their fixed cost. Mas dako og gasto kung i-combine gani nimo ang mga gasto sa mga individual nga firms. And this will tend to make the cost hinuon, I'm sorry, the price of the water more expensive. Kay kung dako ang gasto sa usa ka firm, in terms of the variable and the fixed costs, it tends to raise the prices up. So, dili po siya maayo sa mga consumers. So, in that case, better off kung usara ang mo provide sa service because it would be efficient for that company. But however, let us take note na if you're the sole seller pod, pwede pod nga that company would be taking advantage of that um, opportunity kay pwede man niya patasan again ang price at whatever range it wants because siya raman ang kayang makaprovide ana nga service. So, how do monopolies make production and pricing decisions? So, if we're going to compare a monopoly with a perfectly competitive nga firm, so monopoly can influence the price of its output. Kay siya naman isa. And it can alter the price of its good. Pwede rin niyang i-change by adjusting the quantity that it supplies in the market. Whereas in competition, the firms are relatively small, so they don't have much power and they take the price. So they are price takers. So that's for a competition. And so monopoly here is a price maker. It can set the price. Now, how about the monopoly's revenue? So here, the monopoly's revenue, marginal revenue is less than the price of its goods. So the marginal revenue is lower than the price because a monopoly face a downward sloping demand curve. So this is the demand curve for a monopoly. So that's downward sloping. So if it wants to sell at a high price, so that would be a lesser quantity. So like for example, only one. So pwede siya makaset up og price ngayon ani. But if daghang quantity, that would be a cheaper nga price. Okay? So let's continue. So when a monopoly increases the amount it sells, this action has two effects. So kung iyahang increase ang amount, so what will happen? So to get the revenue, remember that's price times the quantity. So the first effect would be the output effect wherein pag daghan ang iyahang ibaligya, the total revenue will increase. Okay, so for a certain nga price. So for example, nag-set up siya price nga 50. So kung daghan siya ibaligya, like for example, 100 items, so 50 times 100 is 5,000. 5,000 iyahang revenue. Another effect is the price effect. So, on the other hand, if iyahang paubsan ng presyo, ang total revenue will decrease. So, for example, sa ako ang gihatagan niya, if it's priced at 50 and then i-decide niya nga iyahang himuon na lang 40, 40 na lang siya. So, at 100 items, so that would only be 4,000. So, mugamay ang iyahang total revenue. So if that is a competitive firm, so if we are going to compare, there will be no price effect because it is a price taker. So the marginal revenue is the price of its good. So whether it sells 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items, the same marginal revenue. So here's a graph of the profit maximization of a monopolist. So this graph will tell us at what point would be the maximization. profit maximization. So a monopoly maximizes profit by choosing the quantity at which the marginal revenue would equal the marginal cost. So this is the marginal cost curve. Okay, it's going up, and then you have here the marginal revenue. Okay, the marginal revenue, as explained earlier, it's less than the mm, um, price, okay, or it's less than the demand. So as you can see here, there's an intersection between the marginal cost and the marginal revenue. So this is at point A wherein they intersect. So what does this mean? Okay, so first is, for example, we'll set the output Q sub 1. So this one. Okay. So the marginal cost is less than the marginal revenue. Okay. Here, our cost is less. Okay. So this is at Q1. Q1. So the marginal cost here is lesser, right? It's lesser than this one, the marginal revenue. Here is the marginal revenue, and this is the marginal cost at Q1. So if we go straight that, naturally this will have a profit because our marginal revenue is higher than the marginal cost. Remember, profit is equal to the revenue minus the cost. So the additional revenue would exceed the additional cost and there would be profits. But when marginal cost is less than the marginal revenue, okay, marginal cost is less than the marginal revenue, the firm can increase the profit by producing more units. So if we want to have more profit, so we will add more units. A similar argument applies at high levels of output such as here, Q2. In this case, marginal cost here is greater than the marginal revenue. Look at this marginal cost, di ba? Na mas higher siya, labaw siya sa marginal revenue nga curve. So, at this point, so Q2. So, what will happen with this one? So, if i-reduce ang 1 unit, dahil mo atras siya, okay, the cost saved would exceed the revenue lost. Thus, if marginal cost is greater than the marginal revenue, the firm can raise the profit by reducing production. So, kung atong kuhaan ang ato ang quantity, naa siya profit kay at this point kaning Q2 mas labaw man gud ang cost kaysa revenue. So, it's better if kuhaan nato ang production. In the end, the firm can adjust the level of production until it reaches Q max, so kani nga point. So in this point where the marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. So kani sila parehas. So the monopolist's profit maximizing quantity is determined by the intersection of the marginal revenue curve, which is this one, and the marginal cost curve. So kaning nga point ani wala gyoy alkansi, di ba? Wala alkansi, pero wala po siya ginansya in terms of the marginal revenue and cost kay parehas man sila. So, kung ang marginal revenue kay 5 and the marginal cost is 5, so 0 siya. Okay, 0 ang iyahang profit or loss. At this point, this would be the safest point. Okay, so this is a profit maximizing quantity. So this intersection will help us determine what would be the pricing sa atong goods. So magdepend siya sa demand. So at this line, we can see here the demand nga if aning Q max ang paliton sa mga customers o gani po nang i-produce sa firm, mausad ni ang pwede natong gamiton nga pricing level. So this is the price at which the monopolist will offer its product. Okay? So, sa demand curve siya makita. So, ang price nga naa sa demand curve would be higher than the intersection of the marginal cost and the marginal revenue. Unlike in the perfect competition na horizontal siya nga straight, di ba? And the marginal revenue is equivalent to the price. Kani siya dili siya equivalent. Dahil ang marginal revenue sa price. So after the monopoly firm chooses the quantity of output that equates the marginal revenue and the marginal cost, which is here, It uses the demand curve to find the highest price it can charge for that quantity. So that is here. Tunong ana. Okay, so that's the price it will be offering its goods. So a key difference between the markets with competitive firms and markets with monopoly firm, in competitive markets, price equals marginal cost, but in monopolized markets, price will exceed the marginal cost. Now let's proceed to price discrimination. So this happens when the firms sell the same good to different customers at different prices, even though the costs of producing for the two customers are the same. So this is called as the price discrimination. Actually, this is a selling strategy. Okay, so this is based on what the seller thinks they can get the customer to agree to. So, what are typical examples? For example, you have the movie tickets. So, in a movie theater, we know that there is a different price if that's a senior citizen and if that is a regular adult or regular customer. So, lahi-lahi sila price. So, mag-discriminate. Lahi ang pricing for this group of customers from this group of customer. And the same goes with transportation, di ba? Lahi ang price for the plate sa senior, lahi ang price sa plate sa bata, lahi ang price sa adult. Okay? Then we have the uh, airline price. Sa airline, naapoy senior citizen. Okay, na senior citizen. And another price discrimination there is when they have different prices for different class, seat class. Like for example, if that is an economy class, it has a different pricing compared to the business class, but you will still reach the same destination, right? If you want to go to Manila and you bought a seat in the economy class, or if you bought one in the business class, it's the same. You will still reach Manila. And when you are in the economy seats, each seat also has different price. Okay, it depends on when you have purchased the tickets, because as I have observed, tickets are highly fluctuating if you're going to uh, book it online. Like for today, this is the price of the airline ticket for this seat, and then in another day, it has the same. It has a different price now, or the price of the ticket 3 months ago. If you have advanced booking, it's different if you buy the ticket now. Okay, although they are on the same seat class. And another one, they have also different price if you're near this area, like you want to sit on this particular seat. It also has different price compared to this type of seat. So there's price discrimination in there. Or if you buy a round trip ticket, it would have different pricing compared if you will book a ticket individually, one for padulong sa destination and another is pabalik na po dire. So lahi-lahi sila og pricing. So that can be an example of price discrimination. Discount coupons. So this one is very, very popular in the States, as I have watched in one cable television program, wherein some of the consumers would collect magazines and newspapers, and they will cut the discount coupons from those magazines and coupons. And what are they going to do with those coupons that they have cut from the magazines and newspapers? So that coupon has a barcode. And if you present the discount coupon to the store when you bought something, or you bought the item that was indicated in the coupon, for example, you will get 50% off if you buy a 250 ml dishwashing liquid. So if you buy that product from the store, and then the cashier would scan your discount coupon, you will get the 50% off. So that's savings. So that's popular there. They gather so many coupons and they buy the groceries in bulk, like one time, and you can see their garage or certain storage in their house that these are filled with so many groceries because they buy so many in bulk, and they have large savings because of the discount coupons. So that's massive couponing. I think they call it as couponing. I forgot if that is the term. So that's how they make use of those coupons. But that's not very popular here in the Philippines. Um, it's seldom that you see this kind of discount where, but we have privilege cards here, right? So we have privilege cards wherein you when you buy something from that store, you will get these points which you can use as discount in your next purchase. So but in their country, they are printed in newspapers and magazines, and you can use that when you buy from the store. So that's something very, very useful and wise for a buyer to take advantage of the coupons. So, of course, the person who buys with coupons can get the item at a cheaper price compared to a person who doesn't have the coupons. So that person without the coupons will buy the item at a higher price compared to that person with a coupon. So that's price discrimination. Then you have financial aid. So many colleges and universities give financial aids to needy students. One can view this policy as a type of price discrimination because wealthy students have greater financial resources and therefore a higher willingness to pay than the needy students. So by charging high tuition and selectively offering financial aid, schools in effect charge prices to customers based on the value they place on going to that school, and that's price discrimination. Then you have quantity discounts. So this creates a price discrimination because the person who buys in bulk in large volumes would pay lesser compared to the person who doesn't buy in bulk. So they are charged with different prices. Then what would be the government's response to these um, problems in monopoly, wherein um, there would be a sole seller who may take advantage of being the only seller in the area and will charge high prices or can discriminate prices. So what does the government do? So first is they try to make monopolized industries more competitive by using antitrust laws. And what are antitrust laws? These are statutes developed by governments to protect consumers from predatory business practices and ensure fair competition. So this would be applied for the following questionable business activities like market allocation, bid rigging, price fixing, and monopolies. Okay? So these antitrust laws will prevent mergers because if two or more companies would merge, they become one, and that would tend to be monopoly if there would be no other competitors in the market. Second is regulating the behavior of the monopolies. So, for example, they are not allowed to charge any price they want, and the government will regulate the prices. Third is turning private monopolies into public enterprises. So rather than regulating the natural monopoly that is run by a private firm, the government can run the monopoly itself. And you have fourth is by doing nothing at all. Okay, so each of the previous remedies has its drawbacks. They have some disadvantages. So some economists argue that it would be best if the government will not try to remedy the inefficiencies of monopoly pricing. If you like this video, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be updated with the latest video lessons. Thank you for watching.